All your phones on silent?
All
your 3 phones?
I only have one.
Okay, how are your other 2 phones on silent?
Oh, they're on silent.
I gave him to buy us pizza, so just let it ring.
Let it ring.
Hey! Sikia songs hapa. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Why?
Do we do it?
Yes, I am Abby.
I am Abby.
I am also part of Abby.
So we were first going to talk about
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, and that's why I'm here, man.
Yeah.
with the first episode, but like right when we were about to start shooting, we saw the headlines about Chris Msando being found dead, right?
If you're living under a rock or you don't have internet, Chris Msando is also how you're watching this without internet. Contact me. This is business. Chris Msando is former head of the ICT department of the IBC. He was appointed
acting.
recently.
He
Yeah,
was acting head
he was
of
recently
the ICT.
appointed because the guy who was there before was given leave. 30
Compulsory.
days. Yeah, compulsory leave. He was
Alex,
fired,
Alex Nani.
but nowadays it's called compulsory leave. Leave. Hallelujah.
So, I mean, okay, so yeah, people
And
died.
he was found dead.
And he was found dead.
Yes.
And there was a lot of, when he was reported missing, there was a lot of drama around it. Like,
There's a lot of circus.
Moses
Courier put something on his
Specifically, Idiot
Facebook.
Man.
Actually, look, this guy is just with his glande, but you see, he was found dead. So,
So
so
not a
a lot of
glande.
a lot of people die every day, Sawa. And the only people who are really talked about are the people who are like in the news and da 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 da. But you see, the difference for me with Chris Msando's death is that this is not. You can't look at this as completely unrelated to what our country is going on.
Like,
What is
he's
going on in
not
our
just
country?
like right
he's
now-
not just a random guy.
Exactly.
He went missing. He was found dead. If you look at the reports in Nairobi
What's
News
going
and
on
the
right
Star,
now?
So
The country is struggling with getting electronic voting into, to make it a normal situation where we use electronic systems
So
that
that
are
you
more
can't rig,
efficient,
that are more efficient.
more difficult, more
Makes the
secure.
votes harder to steal.
And then there's people in courts right now fighting with this thing. Oh, we want manual backup, we want electronic, we want this and this and this. And then the head of the ICT department of the IBC goes missing, and it's unrelated to you. I feel you're living in denial.
This guy dying, the Chris dying is unfortunate. Like, it's a tragedy when
Definitely,
any
yeah.
person dies. But the reason why it's a big deal is because he was not any ordinary person. He was the acting ICT head of ICT in our electoral body, and it is 8 days to election time, and then he turns out to be dead. Like, that is just too suspicious to
He
be a
turned out to be dead,
coincidence.
and then someone and then Moses Courier tries to do a cover up.
Yeah, man. The easiest way to discredit something is usually to just put some, to bring like a side story. Now, the side story was that he was in a Klande.
It's not even discredit, it's more like distract.
And you know,
it is
You want to take away from the story.
to distract people and to discredit the person as being some sort of an unworthy.
Or sexual deviant
pervy,
or whatever.
sexual deviant.
Yeah.
But you see what bothers me is it's not even like, no one gives a fuck whether he was with the clan, yeah? Me, my problem
Yeah,
is,
I don't care.
if you look at the reports from Nairobi News, Star, whatever, like in the news right now, it says that there are signs of torture. Like choking, strangulation, like signs of torture, basically. So whether he was with the clan or not, the point is someone tried and succeeded in killing this man. The question you need to ask yourself is, why did they kill this man? What does that mean for you as a voter, and why we are in this place as a country?
Why is our electoral process always this dramatic? Like,
'Cause it
why?
shouldn't be.
Like,
why?
offices are closed. People are not, like
Going on
investors. Every time we have elections, our stock market crashes. It goes on a bull run. Every time
Oh,
we
man.
have elections, on a bear run, sorry. Every time we have elections, NGOs send out warnings. There are people on leave.
People are
leave
selling
the
their
country.
stuff to leave the country.
Me, I'm a creative, and
There's
getting
no
work
work.
for the past 3 months
Yeah.
has been hectic. Why? Because every single person is trying to hold back their resources
to see what happens after the elections.
Because now that is what has become, yeah? Like, if we are having an election, then we have to wait and see what happens before we go back to our daily lives.
Like,
and
Kenya is an
just
unstable nation. It's not, it seems unstable, it's not, don't panic, it's an unstable nation.
People shouldn't have to die in an election season.
The
economy shouldn't have to fail in an election season.
Do you know, when America's elections are running, I follow a lot of YouTubers that live in New York. This guy he'd even forgotten that it was election day. Like, it was the day to vote. This guy was going about his day like, oh shit, I have to vote. He went, he voted. 45 minutes later, he was going back around his day. People can have elections and be peaceful at the same time. You can live your life and have elections. Elections are not the end of life.
You know,
but
the most annoying thing
for this guy, and it just makes me wonder about how unwilling now a normal Kenyan like me becomes to participate in the whole electoral process.
The whole elections, the whole even speaking out, even this doing this like this. I'm like, I don't want to do this thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Not only because it makes you angry, but also because people can be out here trying to kill you just because you're stopping their generation.
Not stopping. You're talking about it. You're not even.
You know, I've always been very vocal, no uncertain terms, when it comes to criticizing the government. And when I see someone who was in a position of power, like Chris, being killed, you know, like, you expect that nobody would try and touch anybody in the IBC.
Because it would be so
8 days to the election.
And it's so
and then it happens, and then I'm like, the fuck? Like, me, they can come to me, they can come for me whatever time they want, because me, my father, he was not a nobody, but he was not a nobody when it comes to these kind of hierarchies, you know. Like, I do not have tall relatives, I'm just me, I'm just Magunga, DoWeDoIt. And so it's easy to just come and silence me and just, you know.
And move on.
And then move on. And if I manage to escape, they will threaten my mother. There is a guy called Gabriel Oguda, who the other day on Facebook said that if you feel that you are not safe wherever you are because of elections, you know what? Just be selfish and take care of yourself by moving. Go back to shacks. Like, nobody should be like guilt tripping you for being
afraid.
scared.
Yeah.
And then when he said that, people were like, "No, you're causing panic for nothing." I'm like,
I'm not causing panic.
The head of the IBC, IT, whatever department has been killed. You know, so at what point does it become like a real threat? When they come to your house with pangas and shit.
That's when you're like, oh.
That's when you're like, oh my god, by then we are having problems. My friend, if you're feeling scared, go home.
No one tells you what you should do with your life and what you should do with your body.
And also, let no one tell you some bullshit about how if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain, because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Everything you buy in this country, everything from airtime to milk,
that's your
you're
right.
paying taxes.
Yes.
Yeah. With everything that you're buying.
If you've ever bought anything, if you've ever been employed anywhere,
exactly, you're still funding your
you're paid
government.
taxes.
You're still a Kenyan by birth, by whatever method.
Even if you don't pay taxes, you're Kenyan.
So you have every single right to vote, and anyone who's trying to take that away from you is clearly uninformed and ignorant.
And a tyrant.
And
a tyrant.
If you need any more on this, Owa wrote a piece on Medium. He laid it out very carefully about voting.
And why he isn't voting.
First of all, you have the right to vote. It is a right. So you can exercise it the way you want. You can go and vote. You can go and waste your vote. It is still your right. If you want to go and make your vote not count by, that nonsense for ticking. Yes, I want Uhuru. X, I don't want Raila. I don't want... Like, you can spoil your vote if you want. Yeah. 2, it is a right. It is not a duty. There are other countries where it is a must that you vote, but Kenya is not one of those countries. So you are not obligated to go vote.
Your obligation
if you do not
to
want
yourself
to vote,
and to your life.
Do not vote.
Your obligation is to
yourself. And then thirdly, even if you do not vote, the government that takes over still has a responsibility to you.
Exactly.
Because you're still Kenyan.
Guess what? Yeah, you're still a Kenyan. If you voted for the opposition, you're still a Kenyan.
Yes, you're still a Kenyan.
You're still a Kenyan. Yeah. If you don't pay taxes, you're still a Kenyan.
You're still a Kenyan.
And the responsibility of the government is not to the people who voted for them.
Exactly.
And you know
what?
To
the citizens of the country and people who seek refuge in that country.
Exactly.
And you know what? For them, for you, it is a right. You can do whatever you want. But for the people who get elected,
they have
they
obligations.
Swear, they are
They swear an oath.
mandated,
Yes.
they are obligated to serve you whether or not you voted for
And
them.
whether or
And
not
the-
you
And that is why it's a secret
And
ballot.
their
so that
job
it
is
doesn't-
what? To serve.
Yes. So whether or not you voted, they still took on the responsibility to serve you. It is their
Yes.
responsibility to keep you safe, to make sure you have food and water and security. And whether or not you voted, since you are Kenyan, you still have a right to question
Yes.
when they do not fulfill their obligations to you.
Yeah. Also, voting is not the most patriotic thing you can ever do for a country. It is not the only patriotic thing you can ever do for a country. Some people usually you
Make
are
it
taken on a
like-
guilt trip.
The only thing
to
you can
make-
do to change this
Yeah.
country.
What
It's
about
not.
paying your taxes? What about putting your government to account?
What about participating in town halls? You go to your town halls? Do you like go to your councillor MCA thingies and
Yeah.
ask him what's going on? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of other. Do you run for like there's a lot of other things that you can do other than voting. Don't let people make you think that voting is the be all end all of how your voice will be.
Also,
Sorry.
you're not. It's not a must for you to be patriotic. By the way, you're not.
Again, you're a human being.
So long as you obey the laws and all that, you do not have to. Like you should not be like.
shackled
You should not be.
to this.
You should not be so concerned about being
Being
more
patriotic,
patriotic than
yeah.
other people.
And it's
like
really-
Some
it's
people
not
are
a
patriotic,
competition.
some
by
people
the way.
want to be
The
like
people-
that,
Yeah.
and that's their right as well.
Yeah.
If you don't
So
want to be
if-
patriotic, if you're inherently selfish, it's really none of anybody's
As long
business.
as you're not
So
killing.
the only thing
Don't break
is
the
that-
law, live your life.
Exactly.
It's really hard to be patriotic to a country or a government that you feel like is doing absolutely fuck all for you.
By the way, I love my
Yeah,
country, I hate my government.
It's very difficult.
I love
to
my
love a
country.
I love my country, I hate my government.
Man, this country is beautiful, man.
And the people in this country have a lot of potential and capacity for love and generosity. The government not doing their job is what brings out the worst in people.
Not even not doing their job, deliberately subverting and sabotaging the goodwill that Kenyans have towards each other by feeding us this propaganda and
The
this
narrative of
electoral
hate,
mayhem
of-
and this narrative of hate. It's not even just we're not doing our job. We are also actively
We want
trying
you to
to
stay where you are,
divide.
because if you're not together, then we can be stupid, we can be greedy, we can be incompetent, and no one is going to hold us to account, because guess what? We are the ones who are holding ourselves to account.
You know, no one really even cares who's in government as long as the people
As
are
long as you
taking
do your
care of,
job.
guys. Like, I just, if Kenyans were even getting the basic human needs, like Maslow's hierarchy needs, so Wi-Fi, food, shelter, clothing.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, so Wi-Fi.
Healthcare.
No one in healthcare, education, sanitation, no one cares who's in government. Why are
Like
we
me, I'm
so-
not concerned about who's there. Me, I'm concerned, can I get work? Can I,
But
travel
all
this
these
country?
things, you will have to care because
No,
it
as
is
in,
only the
it's-
person
it's,
who will
it's
going to
important.
take power.
It's only
It's
important when they're
if
not doing
everything
their
is
job.
going wrong.
Pardon?
It's important when they're not
everything
doing
is
their
going
job.
wrong.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that where we are right now, it is important because they're not doing their job.
That's what we're
That's
saying.
what we're saying.
Yeah. So anyway,
If they were
so-
doing their job, I don't care if you're from Mandera, from
don't care.
Gabratula.
Oh, even now, I don't care where
Yeah.
you're from, really. Me, when it comes to when
I
I talk about caring,
I only care who you are in terms of your character as a person.
Yes.
I don't care where you're from.
and even your character, if your
you
character
can do your job and you're
can
still
do
a
your
dick.
job and
Yeah,
differentiate,
like,
I won't even
Michuki.
care. Yeah.
Michuki was a douchebag, but this guy was not joking around with
I wasn't joking around
with transport and with NEMA
With their environment.
environment.
But-
Like he
anyway.
came into the office and Nairobi River was flowing. It was clean
Anyway,
I mean,
for a time.
in summary,
in summary,
If you wanna
so
vote,
everyone
vote.
is giving like a parting shot.
okay.
I don't have a parting shot. Do better. That's it.
That is your parting shot.
You?
I didn't know just how badly this Chris, the murder of Chris, had annoyed me until I started talking about it, and that's why I'm on this bench. I'm not usually in the main show, but I like this country, and I like making these videos. I like writing and taking photos, and I hope that after 8th of August,
Can still-
I will still have a country to do all those things in, man. So, yes, we can let's go to elections. Let's vote peacefully, and also let's demand for
Better.
very fair elections. That's it, and then we can come back.
Also, love your country, guys. Don't destroy it because these guys don't care.
Love your country, not your politicians.
Vote if you want to, don't if you don't. Run if you want to, stay if you want. Hold your leaders accountable.
In fact, that should be obligation.
Hold your leaders accountable should be the obligation. Yeah, and may Christmas and the rest in peace.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. man.